Let's clarify some terms before we go on. Given the way that we oppose them in this discussion, active and passive, in English that could be confusing. And I understand why people are sometimes confused. It might tend to create the impression that the work of Christ is being considered chronologically. That is, we're thinking about everything Jesus did before his baptism, perhaps, or before he appeared before the Sanhedrin, or wherever you want to mark the point of his suffering. And then, so he has active obedience up to a certain point, and then thereafter it's passive. People have often talked that way as if that's what it means, but that is not, in fact, what we have meant by active and passive. And we don't even mean by passive those things which are done to Jesus. Passive is simply a very literal English translation of the Latin, which is rooted in the noun passio, or the verb passio, to suffer. And all we have meant is that the entirety of Jesus' obedience is one obedience with two aspects. The entirety of Jesus' obedience is one obedience with two aspects. He was active in all of his sufferings, actively obeying the law of God all of his life, right through the crucifixion. And he suffered in his active obedience of the law all of his life, right through the crucifixion. These are merely two aspects of the same obedience. So let us not be confused about what we mean when we say active and passive. Active means Christ's intentional and positive fulfillment of God's law at every moment of his life. And passive means that all the time, as the Heidelberg Catechism says in question 37, all the time he lived on the earth, but especially at the end of his life, he bore in body and soul the wrath of God against the whole human race. Two aspects, one obedience.